Hey guys, so yeah, you might notice I got this mic on. I got a little tape on it because I don't know where the clip went. But I wanted to come on here, give you my thoughts on some, wrestling news that's been going on over the past week or so. I thought I talked about it on the 18th, but there's a lot more happening. I mean, especially tonight. Yesterday actually, we were all, kind of surprised, but not really, because we had a feeling something was going to come about as we get closer to WrestleMania. I mean, we are a week away this Saturday from Elimination Chamber, which is the last PLE, I believe, pay-per-view PLE for WWE before they use, the month of March to build to Mania. And, yesterday, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, put out on Twitter that he was going to show up tonight with a special gift for New Orleans, as well as he was also going to, pardon my language, fuck somebody's life up. Now, the first part, pretty much a lot of people can assume, is The Rock coming out and saying that he's going to give New Orleans, a special gift, and telling them that in 2026 they're getting WrestleMania at the Caesars Superdome. And I do apologize for that noon whistle right there. That basically is letting us know that it's noon now here in Newman. But anyway, like I said, he said he was going to do that. It was the first thing that caught people's eyes, but pretty much a lot of people are pretty much figuring that it's going to be him announcing WrestleMania coming to New Orleans in 2026. But then the other thing that caught people's eyes was when he said he was also coming to F somebody's life up. Now, we don't know what he means by that. A lot of names have been thrown around. Obviously, at the top is Cody. Is he talking about Cody? Is he going to basically inject himself, into the Cody situation at Mania? We don't know. I mean, even Triple H said, hey, things can change in an instant. And I'm sure learning from what happened last year, Triple H has, as I said, hold on for a second, guys. Sorry about that. This phone number has been calling up called Credence. I don't know what that is. Credence, whatever. But anyway, like I was saying, nobody really knows whether or not it's going to be him involving himself in Cody's match at Mania, if it's got to do something with Roman, if it's got to do something with Solo, with Jacob Fatu. Nobody really knows. It could be something totally unexpected. I was thinking, what if he's coming out there to F Dave Meltzer's life up? Because Dave Meltzer's been coming out and reporting things of, oh, Rock's not going to be at Mania. This is why, that's why. Is he coming to, is The Rock coming to, Smackdown tonight, not only to gift New Orleans with, WrestleMania, next year, but also, in front of the world, pretty much humiliate Dave Meltzer, basically call him out on his BS. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, like I said, at the top of the list for a lot of people is it's got to be either Cody, it's got to be something with Cody, it's got to be something with, if not Cody, it's got to be something with Roman, even though Roman's not scheduled to be there. It's got to be something with either, or if it's not Roman, it's got to be something with Solo or Jacob Fatu. We don't know. We don't know. So we'll just have to wait and see exactly what they got planned going into tonight with The Rock, because it's going to be interesting to see what he says after he gives New Orleans its gift, which again is potentially them getting WrestleMania 42 next year. Now, with that said, WWE does seem to be on fire right now, in a big, big way. First of all, they got the ID program up and running. They're going to have the revamping with Gabe Sapolsky, easy for me to say, Gabe Sapolsky, the guy that ran the original Evolve. Gabe Sapolsky is going to be in charge of the WWE branded Evolve. And the plan with that is that the wrestlers, the men and the women that impress the most, they will be the ones that will probably get, if more than likely, get contracts, fully with WWE. Like right now, they're under the ID contract, which means, hey, if you impress, it's like, hey, just because we have you under an ID contract doesn't mean you're going to be fully signed. We're just going to look at you, see what you can do, and so on. And I think and I think obviously with the stipulation in the show that whoever impresses the most gets a full-time contract, I think the concept is, I think it's really good. I think it's really good because you're not having them go through like an NXT OG, like NXT workout or anything like that in the OG, like in the OG NXT. What you're having them do is you're having them wrestle, you're having them compete, in matches. As I check something, hold on, guys. Like I say, you're having them, compete, against each other in regular matches, maybe potential storylines to go with them to see who will take that next step to going to be part of NXT and then eventually Raw and SmackDown. So I like that concept, a lot. I like that a lot. I also like the fact that, to really, I guess you could say, motivate the talent, Triple H has introduced, a WWE ID championship for the men and an ID championship for the women, where I guess we're going to have champions throughout this, and whoever the champions are at the end, that might be the ones that get signed. We don't know. We'll have to see. But, I like the concept. It's going to be on Tubin, Tubi, Tubin, for the U.S. and YouTube internationally. So basically both outlets are free, unless you have YouTube Premium, of course. But with that said, I'm looking forward to checking this out and see what it does. And what's ironic is it's going to be coming on Wednesdays. Yeah, it's going to be coming on Wednesdays. I guess you can say in competition, head to head with Dynamite. So it's going to be interesting whether or not Dynamite might be able to overcome WWE Evolve, or WWE Evolve is going to outshine Dynamite. And if that happens, if that latter happens, that's not a good sign for Dynamite or AEW, if you know what I mean. If a developmental brand outshines a premier brand, if you know what I mean. Speaking of AEW, something intriguing happened this past Wednesday, and it was really getting a lot of people talking. Even Stevie Richards is talking about it on his podcast. And what happened is that even though they've been having a good string of shows lately, which is great, they've been having a good string of shows lately, what happened is that during the run-in segment after the Megan Bayne matchup against Chris Statlander, who lost to Megan thanks to interference from Penelope Ford, what happened is you're having Penelope and Megan, but mostly Penelope, beating down on Chris Statlander, and Thunder Rosa then comes out. And what happens is she's coming out with a chair, and typically, somebody with a chair, a babyface, if you will, when they come out, when they come out, typically the bad guys run out of the ring. They get out of the ring, right? Not this time. What happened is that just when Thunder Rosa was going to go for it, it's like Penelope all of a sudden, got in the way of Megan Bayne, and she was taunting Thunder Rosa. She was taunting Thunder Rosa, and Megan Bayne, was doing the same thing. Like, oh, what are you going to... It's almost like something was off. It's like something was askew. And now word is starting to get around because everybody is looking at this. And like I said, even Stevie Richards is looking at this. And it's like, was this something of a miscommunication, a miscue on Penelope and Megan's part? Or was it something more? And a lot of fingers, based on what they've seen, a lot of fingers are pointing to basically Megan and Penelope going into business for themselves. Basically going off script and making Thunder Rosa look like an idiot, like a fool, which you're not supposed to do. That's a big no-no. So a lot of fingers and a lot of, I guess you could say, looking at the footage back and forth is pointing to that situation right there as being, the possibility of what happened, that Penelope and Megan went into business for themselves. And they don't know if it's because of their close friendship, or at least Penelope's close friendship with, with Britt Baker or something. We don't know. But yeah, that's not a good look for AEW, especially when they've had a string of good shows, including Wednesday nights. Now, speaking of the women wrestlers, obviously WWE's women's wrestlers are frustrated with what's going on right now and how they're being booked. It's not at the levels like of 2022, but it's kind of close to it. And I think after what happened with, hold on for a sec. Check into, but I think after what happened with Nia Jax and everything at the Rumble, I can't blame them for that, because I don't think any of them expected that to happen, if that was planned or not. So I don't blame them for being mad, but again, you also have to remember what Triple H said at the Royal Rumble press conference, after the show, that the dirt sheets think they know, but they don't know. So all we could be hearing is he say, she say when it comes to this. So we just got to take that information with a grain of salt. But if any part of that is true, then, Triple H and his crew got to get their act together, when it comes to the women. And then speaking of women, we have this whole Tessa Blanchard thing in TNA, and how lately a lot of fans from the Genesis pay-per-view during her match with Jordynne Grace till last night, the live edition from Full Sail, have been chanting at her that she's a racist. And then on top of that they're going to be coming for her. That's from last night. And apparently it's getting to her a little bit, legitimately. Because the way she's being portrayed, hold on for a sec. Okay, just checking it. But the way she's being portrayed is she feels entitled. Like, she's Tessa Blanchard. She's Tessa effing Blanchard. She shouldn't have to wait. She should have everything handed to her. So last night, she refused to do a match against Marsha Slamovich. This caused Santino to come out and tell her, hey, next week you either compete or you're fired. And when he said that, in the clip, you kind of see her laughing it off. But then she made a comment backstage in an exclusive YouTube video or Twitter video. And to me, I said this on Twitter, and, and commenting about that, I said that I'm not going to be surprised if it gets revealed next week that Tessa has more power than, Santino imagined, because it's going to get revealed maybe that she was signed by Anthem and not by TNA directly. So she's above Santino in the pecking order, if you will, even though she competes in the ring. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's what's going to happen with Tessa next week. But you can tell the whole racist, chants and, stuff, it's getting to her. It is legitimately getting to her. And that's on TNA and Anthem mostly for bringing her back. But you can definitely tell, as I was saying before, before the camera went off, because I guess when you download apps, you lose more of your minutes or something. I don't know. But anyway, I can definitely tell you it is getting to her. A lot of people have been pointing that out, that it has been getting to Tessa. You could tell it's been getting to her. But with that said, though, like I was mentioning, I feel what they're going to do, and like I said, I mentioned this in a comment on the Twitter post of the exclusive video that they put up of her being upset about Santino doing what he did, basically telling her, hey, if you don't, wrestle next week on Impact, you're fired, and her coming out and saying that Santino planned this and she's upset, and basically Blanchard's don't wait. That, she's not someone that's at the end of the line starts with her, starts with her family, so you can definitely tell that something's going on outside of, the way she was reacting and everything, and the fact that everybody's saying that, she's a racist and that they're coming for her, you can tell that, legitimately it is getting to her, because fans are like, look, if you want us to get off your back, just apologize. Just say you're sorry for what you've done, sorry for what you did. And she hasn't done that, in a way that is satisfactory, I guess, in a lot of fans' eyes. But anyway, getting back to her, though, I think what they're doing is they are setting her up to make a revelation next week. Because, again, like I said, when Santino's told her, hey, you'll be fired if you don't wrestle next week, the way she reacted was, she didn't take it seriously. Like, she scoffed at it. And then we saw her reaction later on. So again, I feel what's going to happen is she's going to reveal next week that she has more power than Santino imagined, because she wasn't signed by TNA directly. She was signed by the parent company, Anthem Sports, which basically means that she is higher up on the food chain than Santino. That she's one of those talents that, will wrestle when she wants to wrestle, and everything she's been saying of, hey, you need to pay attention to me, I'm the focal point, has been legit, because if she's hired by Anthem, then that means she's the priority, nobody else. So I've got a feeling we might get something like that next week. I'm not saying we will, but the way they've been positioning Tessa as an on-screen character, who feels like she's entitled to everything and she should be like the first one that gets everything, I just feel like, we're gonna, again, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I just feel like we're going to get, something to that extent. That we're going to get something that, falls in that category and everything. Like, either she's going to reveal that since she's signed by Anthem, Santino can't do anything about her, and she can instantly go to the right people and have him fired. There's that. There's that. But then again, we could also find out that when she got signed by Anthem or signed by TNA, her lawyers made sure to basically put in an ironclad stipulation, basically stating that he can't be fired no matter what. You can't fire her or do anything to her because she's got an ironclad contract, and if you try to breach that ironclad contract, then you yourself will put yourself and the company in danger of being sued, or something. So, or something to that extent. So again, I feel that we're going to get that revelation next week. Maybe, again, not saying we will, but it feels like it's leading towards that next week on Impact. And yeah, that's going to make for an interesting storyline and all that, to where Santino's like, okay, I could see Santino being like, okay, so I can't fire her because either he's going to be like, she got ironclad and that would put the company in danger of did something, or I can't fire her because she has more power than me because she wasn't signed directly by TNA, but by Anthem. Okay, what do I do? So it's going to be interesting to see how they, position Santino, when it comes to this next week, if that gets revealed. Now, they could go the other way by revealing, yeah, she was signed by Anthem and everything, and although Santino can't do anything, somebody from Anthem can, and maybe you have somebody that represents Anthem come out, or at least portrays somebody representing Anthem, come out and tell Tessa, yeah, Santino can't do anything about you, but I can, and I'm in agreement with Santino that if you don't wrestle tonight, right now, you're fired. So I could see that happening too, but it's going to be interesting to watch and tune into Impact next week, either on Access TV, which not everybody has, on Impact Plus. So it'll be on TNA Plus. So it'll be interesting to see what we get as a result next week. But like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Either she's going to reveal she's got more power than Santino because she was signed directly by Anthem and not TNA, and she can get in contact with the right people, get Santino fired, or she's got an ironclad contract. It'd be one of those two that basically makes her untouchable, when it comes to Santino, or it's going to get revealed that she was signed by Anthem, and that somebody that will represent Anthem will come out and say, hey, and Santino can't do nothing about you, but I can, and I'm in agreement with him. You don't wrestle, you're fired. So, so that could happen as well. That could happen as well as, I think my thing went down for a minute. Hold on. Sorry about that. The battery's getting low. I have to charge this a little bit. But I could see that happening. So I could see any one of those happening. I also want to talk about the fact that, in closing, before my battery finally, causes my phone to kick the bucket for the time, I want to talk about the whole Shane McMahon, Tony Khan thing, and how basically Tony Khan ghosted Shane, which apparently Tony Khan doesn't normally do to people that he wants to work with. And the report basically is that Shane, when he met with Tony, is he wanted equity in the company. He wanted equity and all that. Basically, Shane told Tony, "Hey, if I'm going to come in, I want total control. I want the final say." And Tony's like, "No, that's not going to happen," and he ghosted it. So basically, whatever plans they had for Shane, they still could have plans. They still could work something out if they wanted to bring Shane in as a character. But whatever plans initially they had for him, especially when it comes to Jon Moxley's group, have pretty much gone out the door. They've pretty much been canceled, shelved indefinitely for the time. So yeah, Shane McMahon basically, according to reports, especially according to Jonathan Coachman, what he found out when he talked to, when he did a collab with JD, because JD was in for Vince Russo, basically Shane, from what he understands, wanted total control of AEW, and Tony's like, "No, that's not going to happen." So what does this do for the Death Riders story? Well, apparently it's still going, without any rhyme or reason, or now potentially any conclusion to go with it. And a lot of people are now looking at that and being like, okay, well, if there's no Shane coming in, as I check something here, guys, if there's no Shane coming in, then why are you continuing the story? And that's a good question. Why continue the story if you're not going to have Shane come in as the guy that they're working for? We'll have to see. Maybe now that this news is out there, maybe the report's out there, they'll wrap it up and say, okay, we're done. We can't get Shane in here to represent you guys as the higher up, of your group. So we're just going to end it. And if they do it at Revolution, that's great. If they don't, then obviously Tony Khan is still somebody, is somebody that wants to, finish the story, finish what he started, even if it wasn't originally the way he intended. And if that means this drags on for another few months, we'll see. But yeah, that's what happened with Shane and Tony and everything. So we'll see what the fallout will be when it comes to the Death Rider storyline, because that was supposed to apparently involve Shane as the higher up that Jon Moxley and his group were working for. But anyway, though, guys, that's all I'm going to say. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video, ring the bell for notifications. Super chats are open during the live chat as well during the premiere. Also, subscribe to the channel, helps out greatly. Find my content elsewhere here on the internet at all your favorite audio video podcast affiliates. You can find me at iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Audible from Amazon, Radio Public, Overcast. Anywhere there's a podcast, you will find me there as well. Also, check me out at VENMO.com at BWRoses, Patreon.com at BWRoses, Odyssey.com at BWRoses.5. Also, check me out at Rumble.com, at BWRoses. Also, check out the Teespring store for merchandise you can't find anywhere else. Also, at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. And at inkbunny.net at BWRoses. You can also support me at Venmo and Cash App. It helped out tremendously there, guys. And you can also follow me on Twitter.com at BWRoses, at Blue Sky at BWRoses, and on TikTok at BWRoses. But guys, that's all I'm going to say for now. Let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, I am out.